don't know me, I'm Marie McMonigal, board member of the Fellowship House. In 2 minutes, I'll introduce the rest of the board that's here this evening. First of all, thank you for your time tonight. We've been asked to prepare a business plan on behalf of the Fellowship House, and I'd like to present that now. Borough Council has copies, so if you can follow along. First, I call the slide, piece of paper I get. First slide is our mission statement. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Fellowship House, we are a nonprofit 501c3. We have never been self-sustained financially. We have always relied on donations from major corporations, the United Way, the Borough of Conshohocken, and some very generous contributors. I don't think you'll find any resident who doesn't know about the Fellowship House, but if you don't, we are essentially Conshohocken's community center. This should not be a surprise to Borough Council, as we share our financials from every quarterly board meeting with all of you. Our borough contribution has pretty much been the same for the last 5 years. However, it was significantly decreased in 2007. We renovated the building, it's been quite a while now, and had a large commitment from the borough at the time. I don't know that maybe one of you was around back then, but we agreed that in order to sustain this beautiful new facility, we were going to need financial support from the borough. Our expenses have declined as a result of our expense reduction program, but at the same time that the revenue declines, we're not getting anywhere. If we projected out the next 4 years financially, without the financial support of Borough Council, we should be out of business by 2016. It doesn't matter that we continue to cut expenses, the income operating at status quo decreases as well. Our action plan. We would like to rework our executive director and program manager positions with no additional costs to the borough. We have collaborated on job descriptions, so we have hope. We have a plan to expand programs. That includes marketing these programs. We need additional manpower to do that. We intend to increase fees again. We have already increased our summer program fees. We intend to partner with the Colonial School District, specifically Conshohocken Elementary, to implement programs for students throughout the year. We have a plan to pursue grant writing by volunteers. We feel strongly that not only do we need to rework the operations of the Fellowship House altogether, we need the borough's support in doing so. Other community centers have a relationship within that their town sees enough value in what is being offered that your constituents would agree that we need your financial support. Thank you for your time. In closing, if we cannot rely on your financial commitment at a level that is agreeable, then we have planned to convene a meeting with the sole purpose of dissolving the Fellowship House and closing the doors. Thank you.
Anyone have comments?
I have one question regarding Darlene and the new executive. Is that going to be paid by us, both positions?
We're not allowed to discuss that.
Okay. All right.
And I'll say that I don't think I've spoken to everybody at the council. Nobody wants to shut the Fellowship House down. That's not the goal. I think everyone's goal and your goal as well is to get the most out of it. So that, if we're working together, I've been to your meetings, we've tried to get as much out of that building as possible, and we haven't seen any dramatic changes in the last 2 years. And this was a dramatic way to do it, but when we were going through our budget, we were strained, and it's the area that was sacrificed. Hopefully we can figure out a way to push this forward, get more of the vote.
I have a quick question. Has membership gone up, gone down, stayed the same?
I'm gonna ask Marge to answer that.
The membership has gone down slightly, but for the last couple of years, it's been pretty flat. The programs, we have cut some programs. If you look at our expenses from 2007 to 2013, you can see we've cut expenses $150,000 over that time frame. And we've had cut programs, and that has lowered our membership slightly.
What about changes in the demographics of the borough? It's changed since 2007. The residents have changed. Maybe adaptation, we talked about it briefly.
Well, that's why it's our plan to rework the positions.
And, marketing of all of our programs, particularly to the new residents on the river, is very, very important.
Have you begun the grant writing process? Have you started?
We have grant written in the past. We need a more focused approach.
What about the opportunity to get away from insurance companies that we discussed a while ago? Anybody explore that?
I'm sorry, money from,
From insurance companies.
I really,
That was something that the YMCA did.
Is that something?
And that was something that you guys asked us to do, and we don't have a problem looking into it. But part of the reason why we need to rework our operations is to have that occur.
And just real quick, when you're at the microphone, but for the others, you have a roving microphone here. If people could use it because so everyone could hear and so it's recorded correctly, that'd be appreciated. We'll do public comment. We're going to ask that you limit your comment to 2 minutes. And what I was going to say, keep it succinct. The only other thing is when you do get public comment, we have a microphone there. We have one there. If you could state your name and address, that would be
Clint
appreciated.
Gates, I live at 252 East 6th Avenue, Apartment 3, right here in Conshohocken. I think the Fellowship House program is a great program to keep kids out of trouble. And as they just mentioned here, residency has gone up in the past couple of years along the banks of the Schuylkill River, especially at the new Riverwalk apartments along the SEPTA tracks. And I think this Fellowship House program is a great program. I grew up with the program myself back in the late 80s when I was a kid. My mom used to take me to the program every summer pretty much in 89, 94, 95, one of the 96, I guess. So kudos to the Fellowship House board members for their good work. I think Darlene Hillebrand does a wonderful job, being on call pretty much 7 days a week. And this is a great program. I urge all parents who has kids present and children of future generations to come to please feel free to enroll in the many different programs and activities that the Fellowship House has to offer. Again, this is a great program, and I think the Fellowship House Board has done a great job over the years, keeping it maintained, well running, and I just want to say thank you, Fel.
I don't need a mic. I'm Mary Albany.
No, because they can't hear you back there.
Mary.
Pull it out.
Okay.
You could pass it back if she doesn't want to come out.
Thank you. I'm Mary Albanese. I live at 217 West 12th Avenue. I've been going to the Fel as long as it's been open. I'm a senior citizen. They have great programs for us. They run bingo on Monday. They have exercise groups that we can take part in. They also, I see a lot of working mothers dropping their children off in the morning. It's a safe environment where they stay until it's time to go to school, and then they are safely escorted down to the elementary school in Conshohocken. I think it's a wonderful thing that they do in that place, and I really would hate to see it close.
Others?
I'll say something on that as well. I'm Debbie Schneider. I live at 442 East 10th Avenue. I have a son at Conshohocken Elementary, and just as she had stated, he does not go to the before care, but he does go to the aftercare. So they do have teenagers from the high school that come down, get the kids at school, after school, and walk them back up there for aftercare program that goes till 5 o'clock for any working parents. It is absolutely fantastic. The kids love it. They've actually brought in another, it's called Obvious Choice. It's a sports type camp that they do. One of the programs that the kids sign up for, they do pay for it and everything like that, and it's usually once a week. But even the kids just being there, and there are a lot of kids that go after care and before care that really benefit from having the fellowship house, and they love it. So I think it's great to keeping kids off the street, and it's a huge help for working parents.
Do you guys know how many kids are there before and after?
Not offhand, Matt. I can tell you that this evening, when we walked in, there were about 30 children there.
Yeah, it's 30 plus every day.
Yeah, easily.
And I'm sorry, is that a paid for program?
It is a paid for program, yep.
Brian Cole. I grew up going to the Fellowship House. It's a fantastic building for this community. The staff and the board does a fantastic job. Don't be short-sighted with this. I've seen YMCA's close in other states. If you pass it on to YMCA, they can close the doors. And then what's going to happen then? This board has kept it going for a number of years on their own with a little bit of help from the community. I urge you to keep the Fellowship House open and in the right hands. Darlene Hillebrand does a fantastic job as director. She cares very much about the building and the people in it. Thank you.
I think people misinterpreted the YMCA. We're entertaining a lease now for them, for our Verizon building, for them to take the second. It's only their corporate offices.
I'll tell you, so there's no interest from the Y in fellowship. That's not an option. They told us that they're not interested.
They're not interested.
I read the article yesterday in the paper. The borough of Conshohocken never said they would close it. I know who made the article. They're the ones who said they're going to close the fellowship house. The borough never said they're going to close the fellowship house. But that's what it started from. Instead of coming to us and let's find out what's going on. You read an article like that and everybody in town said you're going to close their fellowship house. So who's responsible for that?
I wrote an article, and yeah, I
You
think
said
you're
the
funding is
borough's
gonna stop.
closing the fellowship house.
Can you use the microphone?
Yeah, I wrote an article. Yes, if the funding stops, the fellowship is going to close. That's period. It's going to happen.
No council, nobody on council ever said
It's
that we were closing the fellowship house.
I understand the last check was written to the Fellowship House at this point. That is what the Fellowship House board has been told. And if that's not the case, then we're all here for a wrong reason. We heard the last check has been written.
We never said the last check was written. Never, that was never stated.
We reduced our allotment, and that was our budget. We reduced it to 25% of what we budgeted for last year. So you guys got a check for 25% of what you got last year. That's what we budgeted for.
And we wanted an accountability plan, which he gave us. And we can talk about the next allocation to the fellowship house. All we wanted is to get from you, the board, a new program that you were going to present to us, and then we were going to talk about starting the funding again.
Hi, my name is Mara Hunsicker. I live at 1919 Sandy Hill Road. I'm not even, I don't even live in this community. I have 4 children. I moved my children to play sports in Conshohocken probably 14 years ago. So I've been a Conshohocken Mayor mom for 14 years, of which I have 3 competition cheerleaders who utilize the Fellowship House for practices all winter long. I volunteered this year for the Donna Freya tournament, as well as a few other years. I'm there countless nights where kids just walk in off the street and have nowhere to go, and I know most of them because I have teenagers. I have almost 18 to 5 years old. So I know most of the kids, and they come from troubled homes. So the Fellowship House is their way of getting away from the trouble and whatever's going on at home. So if we have no fellowship house, I'm sure crime rate is going to go up in Conshohocken. Kids are going to be getting into trouble left and right. I love Darlene and Charles and everyone else who works at the Fell. They go above and beyond. I'm at every activity. I'm at the Santa pictures. Goodness, the Easter egg hunt. I was at the free Christmas dinner. My mother-in-law.
And it was free. Here at the Fell, it should be free for all the kids. You know, have a family fee the charges. But in the meantime, like you're saying, some of these troubled kids have nowhere to go. After Saturday night, guess what? They all got a taste of a really nice rec center. And guess what? They're all going to come back this summer. I'm going to have to tolerate them. So are the police department. And they're going to come back and they're going to try and get into the Fell because they found a really great court that they can play ball on. But I mean, the Fell has to stay open because otherwise we're just going to have nothing but chaotic kids running around with nothing to do. But I honestly think the board needs to be more proactive as far as the Fell's concerned. If that means changing members of the board, so be it. But as far as the negligence, I think on their part this past year, I'm for change.
Can I ask a question? What is your, do you have membership terms on the board?
Yes.
Where are they?
They are 3-year.
If you could use a microphone again, that would be appreciated. Either one of them.
We have 3-year terms that are voted on by the other board members. We also have officer positions, president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary that are also voted on for the same term.
And what is your, when you do
And I just want to also remind everybody, we're all volunteers.
how do you turn down applicants who want to be on the board? How does that work?
I don't think in my term I have seen anyone turned down. We do have bylaws that restrict us to numbers.
What is that number?
Right now it's currently 15.
15?
And up until
It's
last
15.
year, what's that?
Going.
Yeah.
So, Councilman Ryan asked me, and maybe this will be informative or helpful to everybody. Councilman Ryan asked me to explain the budget process. Is we start the budget process approximately September of the year before the budget. So budget means it's a plan of how much money we think we're going to come in, and it's a plan, hear this word, plan, of how much money we think we're going to spend. By Pennsylvania's Commonwealth state law, we must have to show and have and approve a balanced budget every year. If we say we're going to have $10 million in and we plan to spend $12 million, that's illegal, that's unacceptable. If we say we're going to have $10 million come in and we say we're going to plan to spend $8 million, likewise. So we look at all the competing priorities. Every year we start with the different departments. We ask the police chief, how much do you need for your budget? Public Works, same. Likewise, we ask our tax collectors, how much revenue do you think we're going to come in based on current and future? And keeping in mind that tax laws, business privilege, the rates, we also set them every year, and we've kept them unchanged for quite a long time. And so in the past year, we knew there was the YMCA question. We also knew that there was back and forth with the board. And so we took the opportunity to budget for 1 quarter, knowing that we wanted to see what happened. Honestly, a few of us thought the YMCA plan, they were talking about programming, now taking over the building, as we heard it, was going to go through. What happens mid-year is, who did their taxes in April? Most everybody, right?
No, February.
February. Depends if you're a business, depends if you're a person. We have an EIT here. But as the year goes on, we start to see actual collections versus what we budgeted, expected collections. And we do a mid-year adjustment because, again, come the end of the year, we do not want to run a deficit situation, that's irresponsible. Of course, there's chances to relook at that budget. And what we have to do is, if we're gonna have a deviation from that budget, we have to vote as a council to have a deviation from that budget, and I'll agree to it. The other important, and this winter, okay, we budgeted X dollars for snow based on the magic of long-term weather forecasting. We had a sort of snowy winter. We've obviously exceeded that. In other cases, is we've had people leave, we've had giant sinkholes, so we have contingencies in budget also. The last part of the budget that's real important is we have what's called a capital budget. And the difference between a capital budget and our regular operating budget, excuse me, 1 minute. The difference between a capital budget and our regular operating budget is with the capital budget, we're putting money away. There becomes, let's take fire. Okay, fires are unfortunate, fires are sad. We hope no one ever dies in a fire, and we really don't want to see loss of property in a fire. But you know what? Loss of property sometimes happens. The ultimate goal is that nobody dies or has injury. All right? We know that in X years, let's say X is 3 years, we're going to have to buy $1 million fire truck because they only last so long. So every year, say X is 3 years, like you said. So every year for the next 3 years, knowing that's up and coming, we're going to try and sock away $333,000 into our capital budget, as opposed to that year going, oh no, this is, in the past we didn't have a capital budget. We just introduced that in the last 3 years. But in the past, it was a panic situation. How are we going to pay for it? But now we're putting away money for incidences or situations where we know we're going to have a very large expenditure in the future, like a fire truck, like a police car, perhaps an additional structure.
There's a whole town full of people willing to help raise money. All you gotta do is ask. And I'm putting this out to the board too. All you gotta do is ask. You can't just go back and forth with this stuff. It's wrong. It's stupid. Let's get our fellowship house back and everybody chip in and do what they can to keep it open. And that includes you guys. Thank you.
Angela, can I ask you a question? Sure. What is your plan for going to the next level of detail on the action plan? Like, are you guys gonna, you have a plan to expand programs, including marketing, saying, do you have a timetable, or how do you get to the next level of detail of who does what happens, or whoever? I shouldn't have asked you.
That's fine, any of us can really.
Sure.
The first point on the plan is really key. We need commitment to move forward there. That will help us then flush out the rest of it. Obviously we need more detail, but that is key. That's the linchpin to the whole thing.
Suppose that's good to go, then what's the next step for the other 4 bullets to get to the next level of detail on that?
Well, I think we need a combined meeting,
With?
Borough Council personnel, to move forward on that.
Move forward on the first item?
Yes. I'm trying not to go into a lot of detail because you asked me not to,
Oh, on that
but,
first, no, I'm asking about the other 4 items, the expansion.
well, they're all hinged on the first one.
Understood.
That person has a big job to do.
You need one person confirming that.
We think with the addition of one, it will make a significant difference. If their focus is different. That's why we keep talking about reworking the whole thing. The focus is totally different for this person. It's more business related, more grant writing, more marketing. We definitely still need programs. We need somebody there to run the programs. That's not going to change.
Say we agree to give you the next part of the allocation.
Yes.
Okay? How fast can you put that in motion to get this reorganized?
I think we can do within the next week.
I think you need more time than that.
Pardon?
I think you need more time than that.
Well,
You'd
no,
like
it's
to
a
find new director,
it's a
do you?
process.
Have you already interviewed some new directors?
We don't have agreement on a job description.
Okay.
Like I said, we have hope.
Okay.
I think we were close. That's the next step.
All going up. 200. All right, well, let's just look at it. Let's say this hotel goes up and other businesses. Is it by state law that you could put $1 a room hotel tax on for quote entertainment or community that would go directly towards the Fell, something along that line, like.
So let's back up first.
Well,
My answer is no, we're not legally allowed to. That's the direct
Well,
answer.
let's back up. And I don't
It's a
think
thought
lot
that
of
maybe
people-
of the money you would know coming in.
But I don't think a lot of people know this. Every building, every house is built in Conshohocken. We have an impact fee that goes back to the parks. And the fellowship house is part of that now. We get $4,000 every home that's built in Conshohocken. And X amount of dollars for every square foot of building is put in Conshohocken. And it all goes back into the parks and into the,
Okay, well.
I mentioned earlier, Darlene has been okay, sorry, let me go back in history. Mr. Shirley, I played camp for him, his game camp back in the day. My sister played for Philly U, shout out to Philly U. But I'll say this, got an idea, I said, you know what, I don't want a summer job. A friend and I, as soon as I graduated from high school, nobody really wanted to hire me. I ran a summer camp. Where do I go? At the time, the Plymouth Community Center didn't really want to do anything with us. So Darlene looked us out. She oversaw everything and allowed us to invite the kids. I used my little bit of star power, and we got about 30 kids come to the camp. If you bring something like the YMCA out, I'm also present in every school in Lower Merion through MELC, and I just got done at a program at the Philadelphia school, which is a $12,000 to $18,000 tuition school. Right over the South Street Bridge, where they have an auxiliary program provider. I can say that she gets a lot more assistance, or so it seems, than Darlene gets. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at the board. I'm not pointing at the fingers at the council. This is the first time I understand that. This is the first time that I'm witnessing the complexities of the politics behind all this. But what I can say is that I pretty much have populated the off days of the Colonial School District. It's concerning. Excuse me if I'm starting a little nervous. This is the first time I did this, but I've populated the Fellowship House on off days with, I'd say, 20 to 30 supplemental kids, along with any kids that are already members of the Fell, with my program. During the spring break session, I had, I think, 70 kids. A lot of the kids in Conshohocken know about the Fellowship House, but I agree, Mr. Ryan, there are a few that are a bit oblivious to it. But again, I also program at Plymouth Elementary, Ridge Park Elementary, White Marsh Elementary, and they don't really know about the Fell. And I think that, considering the YMCA, again, it's, I don't know, are we doing that?
No.
All right, good. I'm glad, because they will kick everybody out. They are the Walmart of community centers. Nothing else can happen. But I just want to